Welcome to the eve of Force Friday.
The following presentation is brought to you by the Revell Network.
Today on Mr. Media, I'll talk to Lou Aguilera, the Vice President and General Manager of legendary toy model-making company Revell, Inc. He's here to celebrate the release of the first Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens models in advance of the film's December 18th release. This, it is safe to say, is a Mr. Media exclusive. Stick around. These are the toys you're looking for. So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is the Mr. Media Interview, brought to you today by Amazon.com. When you visit MrMedia.com and click on any of the links to purchase books, music, movies, gift certificates, or anything else through our Amazon link, you support this free video podcast. Whenever you need something else from Amazon, please consider returning to MrMedia.com to order it. It doesn't cost you any extra, and we sure appreciate the support. And don't forget, MrMedia.com has more than 1,200 celebrity audio and video interviews archived on the site. That's hundreds upon hundreds of hours free entertainment. Subscribe for free on MrMedia.com and you'll instantly get an email every time a new interview is posted. You can also watch and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Vimeo, Dailymotion, the Realm Network, and Frequency.com. And if you prefer to just listen, Mr. Media is also available for free on iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Blueberry, TuneIn, Blog Talk Radio, Podfeed.net, and Player FM. You can subscribe to any of those services and never miss another episode. Finally, you can interact with Mr. Media Interviews on all kinds of social media, including Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and more. Friend or follow us, we'll friend or follow you back. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Mr. Media is recorded live before a studio audience full of devoted model-making enthusiasts who can't wait for me to stop talking and for the man from Revell to start showing in the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida. When it comes to Star Wars, only America's nuclear codes are held to a higher standard of secrecy. But today, we're tearing the seal off one top-secret corner in the universe, the one where scale models of the new Revell toys from the upcoming film Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, have been hidden away. The plot of the eagerly anticipated movie, which opens in theaters on December 18, 2015, is still under wraps. But today, Force Friday, is the start of the long, slow reveal of images, likenesses, toys, and other Force Awakens-related merchandise. I'm excited to have Lou Aguilera, Vice President and General Manager of Revell, Inc., joining me today to give us our first look at the exciting new scale models the company has designed based on The Force Awakens. Now, if this were a movie, TV show, or book, I would know what's ahead of us. But because of the great secrecy surrounding every new Star Wars project, you and I will see whatever he has to show us for the first time together. Now, what I do know is that these are hyper-realistic scale plastic model kits of multiple vehicles from the new movie that include lights and sounds that simulate battle action. And I'm told this is a first for this kind of product. And that's along with retractable landing gear, open-close cockpit hatches, wings that open to attack mode, and more. Now, the kits are on store shelves as of today, Friday, offering an easy, snap-together design for ages 6 to 8 that is also a great introduction to modeling. As for Revell, it is probably best known among young men of a certain age for its line of race cars, aircraft, and military vehicles. It is an enduring company that can trace its inspiration back to Charles Lindbergh's 1927 solo flight across the Atlantic Ocean. In other words, from the Spirit of St. Louis to the Millennium Falcon in less than a century. Lou Aguilera, welcome to Mr. Media.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Delighted to have you. And look, before we get to the new Star Wars models, and I know that's what people want to know, I have to ask you, are you offended by references to your products as toys?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
I was watching for any evidence in your face of going, oh, we called them toys. It's like, you talk about comic books and people in the business want to hear they're graphic novels. Don't use that.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you think back to the beginning of models, and that's what they were. They were toys for many kids many years ago. And as we've grown up over the years, they've gotten more precise, more detailed, and even in more exact replicas. And that's where the concept of models has come into play. But I think we're very much about trying to get closer to children today, and children are all about toys, so I don't have a problem with that at all.
And
we have subject matter for enthusiasts, high-end models, as well as children and toys, so that's fine.
And technically, officially, I guess these are geared at children 6 to 8, but realistically, we know that there's grown men, and probably women too, that are buying these and putting them together.
Oh, there's no doubt. The products that we're going to have for Force Friday definitely are going to be for kids as well as enthusiasts. But our Star Wars line, we have a full gamut of product from 6-year-old all the way up through adults.
Okay, all right. So the veil of secrecy that envelops all things Star Wars has got to put a little extra stress on your company. How hard is it to keep the Lucasfilm secrets, and to what lengths must Revell go?
Well, first of all, we are obligated contractually to maintain such secrecy. And so there's penalties involved if we do not take every effort possible to do that. So it definitely is a challenge, particularly around design, since there are so many things that are computerized these days and out in the web, it becomes a challenge, and it really puts stress on having to sell the product and take it to customers and not be able to show product to certain customers. We have legal obligations that we have to discuss with our customers before we can reveal product. We can't leave samples behind with customers. So it really does put a burden on the entire process, but with a license as strong as Star Wars and subject matter as strong as Star Wars, most people are pretty understanding of that.
So does Jeffrey the Giraffe at Toys R Us get a sneak peek, or does he have to wait until Force Friday as well?
Only if he signs an NDA.
Okay. and in full disclosure, I signed an NDA. We're recording this the day before Force Friday, and this will not go up until midnight on Force Friday. So I mean, I'm fully aware of the NDA and the lengths that I've had to agree to. So I gather that must be pretty strong. Especially, I mean, do you have issues? Would there be knockoff Star Wars models? Have there been?
There's not necessarily knockoff Star Wars models to the level of detail that we have. I mean, there's a barrier to entry in terms of modeling and the types of investment that companies would need to make or individuals would need to make. Certainly with today's scanners and 3D printers, though, that's becoming much more of a risk. But nonetheless, the technology can't capture the level of detail that we have in our product.
And are you able to talk maybe in generality about the lengths to which you have to go to keep it secret? I mean, you talked a little about the NDAs and non-disclosure agreements for people who don't deal with that. I mean, and you talked about computers. Now, we've seen Sony's secrets hacked this past year to an incredible degree. For example, do you not put computer designs on computers that are networked, for example?
Right. We keep everything on secure sites within our domain so that it cannot be shared externally. For example, we don't use emails, so only certain type of FTP sites that we use. We only provide limited access to certain people within our organization, privileged access that are working directly on the project. So it's just not a free form for anybody to have access to.
And does this happen with any other licensees or licensors that you deal with?
Not to this level. We have worked on other secret projects, but this is by far the most secretive project we've worked on.
And has Revell done the Star Wars models in the past? I'm not sure about that.
We've been working with Star Wars Lucasfilms since 2007. Right, and then Disney obviously purchased Lucasfilms, I think, a couple years ago, and last year we renewed our agreement with Lucasfilms through Disney.
Okay. And just a question about yourself. How long have you been with Revell, and what do you do?
A little over 4 years. I've been here since 2011, and I'm the general manager. I run the business.
Got it. Okay. So if anyone knows these things, you know.
That's right.
All right. So how does the process of designing a Star Wars toy begin? I mean, where literally does you sign an agreement. First of all, everyone's excited to hear that it's going to be a new Star Wars film, and then I'm sure they're scrambling for who's going to get the rights to do this and that. Where does the process of designing and creating these models begin?
Well, it first starts directly with Disney and with the company that actually designs the props for the movie. We work directly with them to get access to the computer data, the CAD data, that they use to design the props for the movie. So we use that exact same data in the development of our product. So we get access to those files from them. Then we give those to our engineers, and then our engineers, we get images of a completed model, if you will, the prop from the movie. We have to then decide how to break that up into how many pieces. So we need to take into consideration, are we designing a product for a 6-year-old? Are we designing a product for an adult? And so there's lots of decisions that we make along the ways to determine how are we going to break up the actual physical model into multiple pieces. And then as we do that, we have to think about what's the assembly process going to be for the user. Again, if it's a 6-year-old, we probably want to have bigger pieces for smaller hands. If it's going to be a product that's more for an adult, you can get into more intricate detail and you can get into smaller pieces because they have better motor skills than, say, a 6-year-old. So these are all kinds of decisions that we need to go through along the process. And then at the same time, we have to think about manufacturing. So as we take apart this one model and we break it down into pieces, we have to think through how is it actually going to be manufactured at the manufacturing facilities to make it as easy as possible from their perspective. So lots of different nuances to take into consideration when going through this.
The specificity of getting the model information from the actual designers is fascinating. It never even occurred to me that there was that level of cooperation. I thought maybe you guys get some pictures and you're kind of left on your own, but obviously that's what makes it so uniquely correct, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And it makes the product better, more authentic, more realistic. It really gives now consumers a first-hand view of the product in their hand, the same product that they saw on the movie screen. So it takes the movie screen off the big screen and puts it right in your hand.
And what's the level of skill for the designers at Revell who do this? I mean, if I'm in high school, for example, and I'm thinking, wow, that sounds like a really cool career. What kind of training do I need? What kind of expertise do I need to go into this field?
Mechanical engineering. Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering would be a perfect field for this. Somebody that understands, obviously, CAD data and how to do CAD design, but also has an understanding of plastic and the flow of plastic at high temperatures, as well as molding and how the molding works and parting lines of a product. So you have, when you mold the product, you actually have two halves of a steel block that come together. Plastic is injected into it, then those two parts break open and the plastic parts fall out. So you have to take into consideration that whole activity of coming together and then separating so that plastic doesn't get stuck in the mold. You want it to fall out. And there's a lot of engineering that goes into designing that, and that helps to facilitate the manufacturing process.
I think we just cut in half the potential audience of young people who want to do this once they heard mechanical engineering. It's that hard. Also, by the way, for those who don't know, CAD is computer-aided design. So let's just give all the information we can here. So the other thing is, the vast majority, I think, you correct me if I'm wrong, but the vast majority of Revell models are based in reality: cars, planes, tanks, etc. But the Star Wars models are not. I mean, they can. The engineers on their end can do anything. I mean, they can make them do anything. Does that increase the degree of difficulty for your model makers?
It does in the sense that having access to information. So, for example, you mentioned that you thought maybe we had just gotten photos and we used photos to design the product. For example, if we're doing a car and a car body, and let's say we're doing a car from 1970, there won't be any CAD data, computer-aided design data on that 1970 car. So what we do is we do use photos, or we can use a scanner, and we can scan that car because we can actually go find the car and scan it. An X-Wing fighter, for example, and it's not so easy to just go find an X-Wing fighter, right? So you are left with either photos or CAD data. So that is an extra element, and an extra challenge there.
Well, there probably are some crashed X-Wing fighters on
right.
certain planets. Obviously you can't go looking for Tatooine, but I mean there are places that. Well, anyway.